Circle the fist in twist step, or circling the fist while sitting on crossed legs, depending on which way you prefer to name that stance, is a little bit more complicated than the ones that we've done so far. So we're going to spend some time working on just how to do the stance itself. Then we're going to spend some time on what the arms are doing. Then we're going to combine that all into the actual stepping set. So to get into your sitting on crossed leg stance or your twist step, you start with your feet about shoulder width apart. And what you're going to do with your body is you're going to turn all the way around so that you're facing the opposite direction of what you started. So I'm facing you. I'm going to go facing away. I'm going to turn to the right. And as I turn to the right, I lift my right toes and I'm going to lift my left heel. So as I pivot, the right toes come up and I pivot on the heel of the right foot. And the left heel comes up and I pivot on the ball of the left foot. And I do it at the same time. So I start with the right. As I come around, then I lift the left, pivot. So now I'm facing directly in the opposite direction of how I started. My right foot is turned. My left foot is up on the heel. While I'm facing this way, I'm just going to sink straight down. And notice that this left leg is tucking in on this side of my right leg, here. Rather than coming out here to the big toe side of my foot, it's coming to the pinky side of my right leg. And it locks in there. The things you want to be careful of is don't put that left knee on the ground and don't sit down on that back foot. You want to be right in between that. Then you push up from there and twisting on the same part. So the left foot is the ball of the foot, the right foot is the heel, and I pivot, coming back to center. To get to the other side, it's the same thing. Pivoting on the heel of the left foot and the ball of the right foot. So I pivot, pivot, turn to face away. As I sink down, my right leg goes to this side, the inside, or the pinky side in this case, of my left foot, and I sink down. From here I push up, twisting on the heel of the left foot, the ball of the right foot, and I come back. So each time that you do that, your feet should start and stop in the same position. If you find that when you come back up, your feet are like farther apart, or one's really far back or really far forward, what's probably happening is you're twisting on like both heels or the balls of both feet instead of the heel of one and the ball of the other. So make sure as you do that, one's on the heel, the other's on the ball. And whichever one you're turning toward, that's the one that's resting on the heel with the toes up. So it's twist around, sink down, come up, twist back. Twist to the other side, sink down, come up, twist back. So that by itself is something that should be practiced over and over and over and over and over and over just to get that distance and that balance getting into that stance. I'm going to do it facing away so you can see what that looks like. So from here, I'm going to the right. So I lift my right toe, lift my left heel, pivot around. Here. When I sink down, it's like I'm sitting down on my legs, and this left leg, see how it's coming through here? That's where you want it to go. From there, you push up, twist back. Now I'm going to the left, so my left toe is up, my right heel is up, and I twist through, sink down. See how the left leg is now coming to this side, or the right leg is now coming to this side of my left leg. And from here, I push up and twist back. For some people, that's a little too much for the knees and legs. That's totally okay. You still want to work on getting to that position, but you don't have to bend your knees as far. If when you get here, bending your knees this far is as far as your knees want to bend, that's totally fine. Just go that far, come up, and twist back. Twist to the other side, go that far, come up, and twist back. Be really careful with this one because it can be strenuous on the knees, it can be very strenuous on the legs, and you don't want to go too deep before you're ready to do that. You don't want to injure yourself, you want to strengthen yourself. Another thing that might not be a bad idea, especially while you're working on the balance, is to do it next to a wall or a counter, something that you can keep your hand on as you turn, so that you're not just kind of out in open space trying to get around with that. You don't have kind of a backup plan in case you start to lose your balance. The next thing to be careful of as you do this, when you turn, don't do this. And bend forward with your upper body. You keep your body straight up and down and you sink, bending the legs. Or if your legs aren't strong, your knees aren't that strong, bend as far as is comfortable and come up. But don't bend from the waist, trying to get lower with your upper body. This isn't a competition. It's not trying to get lower than anyone else. You're trying to strengthen your legs, improve your health. So you bend as far as is comfortable, then come up and twist back. Okay, so really watch that. Maybe do this one in front of a mirror also to make sure that you aren't falling into that trap of bending forward as you go down into that stance. Now we're going to work on what the arms are supposed to be doing. So if you don't feel comfortable with what the lower half is doing yet, go back and watch that part of the video and watch it over and over and practice it and practice it and practice it. Work on switching from one side, coming up, switching to the other side, coming up, and just going back and forth until you feel like a pro at just the lower half. Now, it's not a bad idea to give yourself a lot of time to work on this. Work on it a little bit one day, give yourself a day off or 2 days off, work on it again, because you don't want to overwork your knees, you don't want to overwork your legs and end up damaging them. Make sure you take your time with it, but really get it down before you go on to this next part. Otherwise, the next part will be a little bit challenging and possibly a little confusing. So the way to think of this is either you're striking with the top hand or deflecting a strike with the top hand, and the bottom hand is also deflecting a strike down low. So as I go to this side, I deflect across. If I'm going to the right hand comes up, and it's like it's deflecting across, just like in the 24 form. When we do our deflect down, parry and punch, it's that same kind of deflecting down. So from here, again, I'm going to the right, my right toe comes up, I deflect down with the right hand, and as I turn, I want to fill up this space with the left arm, keeping it slightly bent, full, come across, here, so it's like it's deflecting down low. When I get here, the right hand drops as I drop. Then as I come up, my left hand is going to do the deflecting down, and then my right hand is going to sweep across. So from here I come up, the left hand deflects across, this right hand is deflecting down low, lift the left toe, begin to pivot, sink down, the hands drop. Come up, right hand deflects across as I come across, and then as it drops, I begin to drop here. Left arm still full, deflecting down low. Across and across. Across and across. Now I'll do it facing the same way as you so we can all follow along together. Feet about shoulder width apart. We're going to start going to the right. When you're practicing on your own, you can start with whichever side is most comfortable for you. Lift the right toe, right arm swings up, pivot, here. Notice how this left arm isn't right in close. It's out here, staying full, so it can deflect if it needs to, here. Then I come up, the left comes across, like it's deflecting down, pivot, here. Across, down, here. Up, across, down, here. So try it as many times as possible. Really get that down with that switching from side to side. Again, remember, if your legs don't want to go that far, don't force them. Keep this safe, keep it healthy. And when you do this twist, the arms can do the same thing. Turn, and then just go as far as is comfortable. And come up. Even if it's just a really slight bend, that's a good starting point. Through here. And as your legs become stronger, more flexible, And as your knees become stronger, you can start to go a little bit lower and a little bit lower and build that strength and build that skill through time, making sure it's safe. The next piece that we're going to do is actually the stepping set. So now that we have what our legs are supposed to do, we have what our hands are supposed to do, we're going to do this going in one direction, just like the other stepping sets or line drills that we've done so far. To start with, I'm going to do it going off to the side so you can see what that looks like. Now, the main difference is instead of just twisting back and forth, I'm actually stepping out. So this is where the foot that I would be turning towards, here. Normally when I turn to the left, that toe comes up. When I step out, I'm going to step out with the heel so that it's ready to pivot on the heel of the foot and the other foot comes up to the ball. Okay? But it's actually stepping out with this one. So from here, I step out with the left foot, the left hand circles over the top, right arm sweeps around, I sink down into that same stance, come up, step out with the right hand circles over the top as I turn, and down. Come up, step out with the left, across, down. Out, across, down. So as you can see, it requires a little bit of coordination, but it's essentially the same thing. The only thing that's changing is instead of going here, I'm going here and then there. And then here and there. And here and there. So I'll do it a few times coming straight towards you so you can see what that looks like. I start facing off to the side. I'm going to step out with the left leg towards you. My left hand circles over the top. Right stays low. Again, be careful that you don't bend into it. Stay straight up and down and sink. Come up, step through, deflect down, pivot, and sink. Come up, step through, pivot, and sink. Up, step through, pivot, and sink. And after just a few of these, you'll start to see how these can be very good for strengthening your legs. And you can also do them up higher, just bending slightly, depending on what your body says is okay for you to do. But make sure you complete the full motion as you come through with it. Now I'll do it a few times going away from you so you can follow along. So, we start facing off to the side, hands at the side. I'm going to step straight out with the left leg onto the heel. My left hand's going to circle around here. So I step out, my left hand circles over the top, deflects down, here. Come up, step through, right hand deflects, left hand deflects low, here. Come up, step through, left hand deflects down, right hand stays low, here. And of course you can do it a little bit higher, depending on what is okay with your body. Here. Step through, here, and there. Step through, here, and there. So, hopefully you enjoy a good challenge, because this one can be very challenging, and it can also be very enjoyable after you start to get the hang of it, after you start to get the flow of it. It's a very fun one, and it's a very good one for strengthening your legs and your balance. Thanks for watching.